We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Oh, yeah. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo. Look up on the wall. There on the wall. Under the bottle. Behind the door. There's a crack in the mirror. Somewhere there's a hole in the vein.
Happy Friday. Welcome in. Weekend's almost here. Lakers get their second choice. I heard this debate with Tony Kornheiser and Barry Wilbon, and I do love that show. Pardon the interruption. And I think Tony Kornheiser is a brilliant guy. I do. I love most of his takes. I don't get this one. He thinks this is a smart move by the Lakers to get a guy who's never coached. Yes, he was coached by Mike Krzyzewski. I get that. Never coached, other than his kids' youth team. Never coached. Is a friend of Kobe Bryant. How does that relate with Anthony Davis, who really will become the more important player in that grouping? Taking over a team that, in my estimation, is on the decline, major, because as great as LeBron has been, Father Time never loses. Sooner or later, he's going to be 40 by the time this next season ends, I think. 39, 40, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think he's 38. Is he 38 or 39 now? Zach Boyd, please look up LeBron's age. And by the way, LeBron opts out, so I don't know what he's trying to figure out here, but he got his guy in, so I can't imagine he's going anywhere.
He'll be 40 in December.
40. So he'll be 40 when this season is in its almost midway point. Wow. Crazy stuff. We'll talk with Andy Schiffman in the second hour of all that. I learned something today. I don't know if this is common knowledge. Maybe I just missed it. Do you know why Live Golf is called Live Golf? Zach?
No.
Live is 54 in Roman numerals. And because they decided they were only going to have 54 holes, I don't know if Greg Norman decided this. I don't know if the Saudi prince decided this. I don't know, because it was named Live before they, I think, got Mickelson. 54. That's what it is in Roman numerals. That is how Live Golf got its name. And it is in Nashville this week. I thought Bryson DeChambeau had some interesting comments, particularly pertaining to not making the U.S. Olympic team. He said, I understand. I made this choice. It all comes down to the World Golf Rankings. World Golf Rankings do not recognize 54-hole tournaments. It's that simple. And for whatever reason, Live, maybe because that's what their name is, they said, no, we're not doing it. We're staying at 54. We want the team concept. Those are the two of the biggest sticking points between the Saudis and the PGA Tour as well. That tour wants to stay with the team concept. That definitely is not going to make it in the PGA Tour. And then the 54 holes, that might be one of those things that you'll give in to try to get other things. I don't know. But the World Golf Rankings is pretty steadfast. If you're going to be a legitimate tournament that we're going to rank players, you got to play 4 rounds. And I'm 100% or more, if you can be, behind that. There's just no way it's legit without all of that. I don't know, the music, too. The music during the rounds seems crazy to me. Maybe I could learn to like it. I'll be honest with you. I prefer the college fan noise rather than the music that is blared at times during the NBA games. Zach Boyd, different generation. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. Like, I think for me, I grew up not having music on the golf course and playing golf or whatever.
Right.
And so for me, it's easier for me to not have music. But I've been okay with it. But as long as it's not like I'm like on the 10th hole and I can hear you blast your music all the way from the second.
I mean, I'm still getting used to, and I'm not saying I'm opposed to the zaniness, the craziness, the drunkenness on the par 3 that tournaments are now doing, and it all started in Phoenix. I know Liv's got that too, and they've got one hole at the Grove in Nashville that is dedicated to that, where it's stadium seating and you're allowed to go crazy.
Yeah.
I can live with that. I don't know about blaring music. I can't stand the TV production either. That may be my own bias of Liv's. Yeah, that's I don't like all the graphics they use, and I don't know. It just does not tickle my fancy. I do want to see what the Grove looks like. I'll probably, they don't have the Friday round on.
Mm-hmm.
How about Tom Kim yesterday? None of us picked him, and I love that kid.
I know you love Tom Kim.
I love Tom Kim. Anyway. He had a 62 yesterday, but I told you the scores were going to be crazy low. They go from the U.S. Open to the Travelers. My God, that to them it's like miniature golf now.
Well, right now, funny enough, you brought up the leaderboard. Right now, Kim is holding a 4-score lead over Colin Morikawa. Tom Kim is 13 under. Morikawa is 9 under. And then there's a three-way tie for third. So how many holes has Kim played?
Say that again? How many? He was 8 under yesterday. How many holes has he played that he's 5 under now? It's 11 o'clock there.
He's through 13.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he was like one of the early ones.
It would take a miracle for him not to be having a commanding lead here. I wonder what they'll do to make it a little more difficult for the next 2 rounds. I mean, if he's 13 under now, let's just say he gets 2 more in the last 5 holes. That would be 15 under. Could he go 30 under in a tournament? That would be embarrassing.
That's crazy.
Remember, it was 26 under here one year, John Cook, and they go, we're changing this course.
Is he on what? Is he on par for 59? On the course?
Well, the par, he's 5 under today, right? Because he was 8 under yesterday, am I correct?
Yeah, he's 5 under now today.
So he's 5 under, and he's got 5 holes left?
Yeah.
So if he went 5 under, he'd be 10. That would be a 60. He's not.
Okay.
I mean, he could. It's within reach, but he'd have to go incredibly low.
Like he'd have to hole out one of the holes.
Well, he could eagle a par 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know if he's got a par 5 in there left.
I could probably tell you right now.
But I don't think he is exactly on par for that.
No. He has a par 3 16th, though.
So he's through 15 holes now?
No, he's through 13.
Through 13.
So it's 14, 15, 16.
So they're all par 4s except for the par 3?
Yes.
Yeah, he's not going to get 59. No way. He may get 2 more, just depending on, because that course can really play easy, but we will have to wait, and we shall see. A couple of quick notes, and we have Tim Doolin on the College World Series, and what a genius he was. He picked this final. Andy Schiffman on J.J. Redick getting the Lakers job. The draft, the finals recap, the ESPN Power Rankings, a lot coming from our agent in Chicago from Priority Sports, Andy Schiffman. We will end our week with Bryant Dacus. Joe Cooper said some things to Parth from the Daily Memphian that I think if you're a Tiger fan, were a little unsettling. First off, and I'll talk more about this with Bryant in our final segment of the week, Joe wanted a scholarship, and Joe claims in this article that he was offered several scholarships and was waiting for Penny, and Penny never called him back. I know Penny did not think he would be used at all last year, and then Penny, when his team was falling apart, did turn to Joe, and Joe had a couple of games which he played well. Joe's a walk-on who wanted a scholarship. And a nice kid. I liked him. He played with intensity. He certainly had an NBA kind of body. Had Tiger in his DNA because his stepfather was Rodney Newsom. There is Rodney Newsom. And in that article, basically Joe says he did not feel like he was wanted. I don't know what you do to go out of your way when the player that is a walk-on is saying, look, I got to have a scholarship. You just say yes or no, I guess. And Penny's way of saying no was not to contact him, if indeed that is true. It'll be interesting to see if and when Penny ever comments about Joe Cooper, but he is gone. We will talk about that. Last thing before we are joined by our stinking genius, Tim Doolin. Reggie Jackson comments last night at Ricketts Stadium in Birmingham, where he once played in the minor leagues. And he was asked about, because this was a game between the Cardinals and the Giants to honor the memory of the Negro Leagues, played in that stadium, which is, I believe now, the oldest stadium in America. Older than Wrigley, older than Fenway. The oldest stadium. They've done it nicely. Big crowds on hand. And the comment was basically about your time in Birmingham. And he was blatantly honest about the incredible racism that he experienced. Without the help of white teammates, he would never have made it through. He said without the guidance of the manager and several of the teammates, and the fact that if they were on the road and a hotel would not allow Reggie to stay there, the whole team would not stay there. If they went to a restaurant and Reggie was barred from eating there, they would not eat there. They would move down the road until they would find a place that would accept them all. That is team leadership and the right thing, the human thing to do. And the A's of that day, that was the team he played for, they stuck together. Beautiful comments in that regard. Then he made the comment, without them, I probably wouldn't be on earth, because in those days I was angry. Without them, I would have probably beat the heck out of somebody, and you'd find me hanging in a tree. These were the comments made by Reggie on TV. Honest, brutal. I'm so glad. I think in America we've moved way past that. We still have a long way to go, but way past that. And I commend Major League Baseball for the Juneteenth anniversary of really honoring Negro Leagues, their heritage, and MLB's mistakes of the past. They would not allow, until Branch Rickey and the absolute courage of number 42, Jackie Robinson, to finally integrate the game and make the game much better than it was, because the stardom, the athleticism of all those guys in the Negro Leagues that didn't get their shot at wealth, that's just criminal. And I'm glad that baseball's admitting this now and their mistake and honoring them. All right, enough on that. We will chat baseball with our friend, the stinking genius, Tim Doolin, in just 1 minute. But first, let me tell you, I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studio. Went there yesterday. Man, is it beautiful in there. And I'll tell you, if you've got a problem with a part or anything like that, that service department will take care of you. Show them a receipt, they go to work. I promise you, if you've got anything wrong. And they got this sale going on right now. It's the summer party sale. They do it every summer. They dip on some things. This year it's the 24-foot above ground pools that are under $2,000. They've got select in-stock patio furniture. I've been talking about this for a while, because now we're more than halfway through 2024. They got the 24s, the newest, the latest, greatest materials in patio furniture. They got it down to 50% off. And play gyms, $1,000 off. Please get the installation. Man, you can't beat it. A 4-person hot tub under $3,000. Those are unreal. It's happening. It's the party. Get it while it lasts at Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road. Let's head on down the road. Tim Doolin's always somewhere on the road. He is working his magic with some client. I believe it's in Huntsville today. I hope that your expertise with that young player that you're working with today is the same expertise that you exhibited on this program when you said it would be Tennessee and A&M, an all-SEC final in the College World Series. You are a stinking genius. Good morning.
Yeah. Thanks for telling me that, Wolo. That makes me feel so good.
It is what it is.
Well, it is what it is, but I'll tell you, Texas A&M, I remember talking to Wes Johnson, University of Georgia's coach, early on when they went to play Texas A&M. And, for those that don't know, Wes Johnson was the pitching coach last year for LSU when they won it and had such a great run. And they had a really good team. And he said, Dooley, he said, A&M top to bottom is probably the best team in the country. And I think they got what it takes to win it. And then, you sure can't discredit or take anything away from what Tony's done on the Hill in Knoxville with all the offensive numbers and all the records they've broken. And they have really good pitching. I don't know that their pitching is quite as good as A&M's. It's not on paper, but when you have the best pitching in the conference and in the country, going against the best hitting team in the country, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a really, really exciting 2 out of 3 series starting tomorrow.
Well, the one area that you kind of missed was the size of the stadium in Omaha. It's not Rosenblatt like used to be a home run factory. And, of course, the bats are now deadened to the way wood bats would be, so you don't see that many homers. But Tennessee, I think, had 6 or 7 guys with 20 or more home runs. They're the first team ever in the College World Series to be that productive with the long ball, and they've hit some long balls in this ballpark. They've certainly had great offense.
No, they do. And typically when you're looking at a really, really good college team, they have 1 through 5 that you got to be real careful with. They're very dangerous. They can hurt you with one swing. The problem you got now when you're facing Tennessee is they got that 1 through 8, 1 through 9. And they've got guys stepping up at the bottom end of that order that are doing damage currently. So that's what makes it very difficult for even a good pitching staff like A&M has. You cannot rest at the bottom part of that lineup because they will hurt you. And Tennessee can run. They don't steal a ton of bases. Very athletic. They got a kid named Hunter Ensley who played with the Doolin Dodgers from Lexington, Tennessee, that's played a great center field, and he's playing lights out right now, both defensively and hitting.
Is he the guy that made that catch where he went 100 miles an hour into the fence?
Yep, and this kid was a great high school football player, and if you watch the games, you can see how physical he is and how fast he is. And obviously, he didn't. He really wasn't too worried about his body because he never slowed down and made a great catch.
He had to leave the game after. I mean, he stayed in for a while, but then he had to leave. Yeah. I think he's okay.
Yeah, I think he's okay. But if nothing's broken, he's going to be in the lineup. I can assure you because he's that tough.
All right, so you got pitching and you got offense. And usually if you've got great pitching, to me, that's what determines the champion. Pitching is still the ticket in baseball. Now it's a little different. Used to be the starter in the bigs. Now it's a combination of having a starter that goes 3 or 4 innings, and then you got your bullpen and a closer that's critical. What have we got here? What's going to be the determiner in this final series? First, what team wins 2 wins the 5th straight SEC Baseball World Series champion?
I think I don't know. I don't have any other thing but just my gut. I just think it's Tennessee's time. I think Tony's done a great job this year. His players have totally bought into everything he's about, his staff's about. I just think I think they're gonna win this thing. It's gonna go 3 games, and I think one of the critical things that's gonna have to happen for Tennessee is one of the first 2 games they are going to have to score a lot of runs to get deep into Texas A&M's bullpen to where on Game 3 that pitching staff is somewhat depleted to where Tennessee can put up another high-scoring game to win a championship. But I think Tennessee's going to win it.
That would be it's guaranteed. 5 straight World Series champions, all from the same conference. We know it just means more at the SEC, and I'm being a little facetious. It's a great conference, the best conference in college. There's no question about it. But 5 straight years, one conference. Half the teams in the College World Series, one conference. The other 4 come from another conference. Is that good overall for college baseball?
Well, I don't think it's bad. I think that and it's going to be very difficult with the addition of Oklahoma and Texas coming in the league. I mean, think about that. It's not like you're adding 2, big-time programs that are football and basketball. These 2 teams play really good baseball. Oklahoma was in the College World Series a couple of years ago, and we know the storied history behind what Texas baseball is. It's going to be interesting to see. For me, is as soon as this College World Series is over, keep an eye on Texas because the rumor mills are flying that they will be firing Pierce, and a lot of prognosticators are saying that Schlossnagle will be going from Texas A&M to Texas, and I would not be surprised if Ross Bjork, he's at A&M, right?
Yeah.
And he's got a relationship with one Jimmy Sexton.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Sexton represents Tony Vitello. And Tony Vitello has roots in Texas. So I would not be shocked to see A&M or Texas, whichever route they choose to take, come after Tony V. And I think it's going to be hard-pressed for Tony V to say no to either one of those schools.
Let me ask you this. The guy's built the program. He got the stadium expanded. He's got everything in place. I'm sure he's making decent money. What do you think it would take? What is Jimmy Sexton putting out there that he needs to get Tony Vitello to move where he's now the Pat Summitt of baseball at Tennessee to go to another place? What would that take?
Well, first of all, I'll give you my opinion on that. But I think if you look at it from because we know this in our Memphis market, is that Tony V is a lot like John was, Calipari. He had an opportunity. He did all those things in Memphis. He built it up. He got money pumped into it, facilities upgraded, the dorm, the Finch Center, all those things. And yet Kentucky calls, which was the premium job in the country, much like Texas would be, or Texas A&M. So I think it's gonna take a lot, but those guys have so much money, it's not funny. Keep in mind, Texas A&M, supposedly their baseball NIL budget this past year was $3 million.
Wow. You don't need to worry about scholarship limitations if you get $3 million.
That's exactly right. So Jimmy would put together, I'm sure, a record-breaking package. But to me, I think Vitello more than Schloss, but Vitello is not so much about the money. It's about his passion of building something that he has done at Tennessee, but I'm sure he realizes that it would be much easier to sustain at a Texas or a Texas A&M just simply because you're in the middle of the country. You can recruit California easier. You can recruit the East Coast easier. And the magnitude of what those 2 schools bring, not about facilities. Everybody has facilities. It's just about, can I do this year in and year out? Because it's basically, these guys are free agents. And keep in mind, when Cal left Memphis and went to Kentucky, what did he do? What helped him leverage was, I'm bringing these guys with me.
Right.
Well, now in the portal, these players can leave every year. So don't think that the portal players that have already committed to Tony at Tennessee for next year, don't think that they won't leave and go wherever he goes, and Tony would take the players from Tennessee that he wants to go with him. So it's not like you're going to go to Texas and have to recruit for 2 or 3 years to build it back up, or Texas A&M. You just reload.
Who's the highest paid baseball coach right now?
Oh, I think Schloss is probably up there. I think there's probably a handful. I mean, you got guys making $1.7 million plus some of the endorsements.
So you think A&M or Texas would say $3 million to get Vitello to their size?
Yeah. As a total package, somewhere close to it.
Wow.
And I mean, and nobody's better than Jimmy at leveraging all that.
All right, last thing. The most famous Doolin Dodger of all is not Tim Doolin. It would be Mookie Betts. Broken hand, is it? What? I think it's a broken hand. Yeah.
Yeah, he broke his left hand. It was a clean break.
How long? How long is he out?
He'll be back playing in about 6 weeks. He's got a cast on, and then obviously when you get the cast off, he's got to get back and start building some hand strength and then ease back into hitting. And one of the tough parts about anytime you're dealing with hands or fingers in baseball, you got to make sure when you come back you're 100%, because if you don't, you're going to end up, compromising subconsciously to figure out a way to get, the barrel to the ball, and then next thing you know, you're jacked up with your swing path. So,
yeah, right.
He, with him being a veteran, and I think they replaced him in the leadoff spot with some guy named Shohei Ohtani. Which
it's not too bad. Right.
Not too bad a player.
I'll say this: the way they come back now, Wilson Contreras. If you saw that injury, he's in Memphis now on a rehab assignment. I'm astounded at how quickly he came back from that. We'll talk more about that next week. We'll talk about the College World Series champion, and I guess, according to you, it'll definitely be Tony Vitello and the Tennessee Volunteers. Have a great weekend, my friend.
All right, well, thanks.
That's Tim Doolin, our man on baseball. He's brought to you by another guy who's great at what he does, and that's Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf, who told me earlier this year, this is going to be a great summer for selling homes. April was a great month. May is a great month. June can sometimes be the best month of all. The buyers in the market are seeing great rates that are reasonable. The only thing that won't get any better for those of you using Sheldon Rosengarten will be golf. Because he can't play. And the reason is he can't practice. And the reason is he's selling your house. He loves golf, but he can never play because 24/7, 365, the dude is getting you to the closing table with the best possible price. He's got a strategy. It involves the 3 Ps, preparation and pricing, the 2 keys. And he will share it with you if you call 483-0546. He even says call 2 to 3 real estate brokers. Just make sure he's one of them. And then he'll explain to you why you should go and stick with him, because he gets the job done. That's the name, Sheldon, with Mark Spensdorf. You can get him at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. And this portion of the show brought to you by the Spirit Shop. The weekend is here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. And Eddie Connor he's saying, come talk to me. He's got the most product in that little log cabin at Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar, just down from Clark Tower. You've passed it by a million times. You would not believe the stuff, the product that is in that little log cabin. It's beautiful. It's crazy how much he's got in there, including rare bourbons, rare tequilas, or middle of the road, or the bargains, or up-and-comers like wine. He was one of the first to have, these folks did this investment here called Cornerstone, Cobblestone is their off-brand of that, Cornerstone. Nobody knew about Cornerstone except for Eddie, and he started telling people, and people that bought his wine, that wine now is worth a whole bunch. He'll educate you, and he's got everything, all the local beers, any kind of little extra if you need a rub for a particular craft cocktail that you want to put on the rim. He's got it. He's got it all. Everything you need with spirits, it's right there. Thus, the Spirit Shop, since '69 at Poplar and St. Nick. We pause for just a second. When we come back to Chicago, we go. We talk NBA with our agent in Chicago, Priority Sports, Andy Schiffman. He's next.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
East Memphis Ace Hardware is more than just a hardware store. It's really a customer service store with 20 employees along with complete inventory of items. They deliver. Finding what you need is easy. Choosing from a complete selection of Big Green Egg as well as Traeger and Weber grills. And the Garden Center has everything for your yard. You can get glass, cut repair screens, and new keys with heating flow programming. Tools, nuts, bolts, screws. You need it. East Memphis Ace Hardware has it. And they're just down the street at the corner of Wilson White Station.
Hi, this is James Stovall with Corky's Barbecue. We are been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Forky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of the store. Hi, this is Jim Stovall with Forky's Barbecue. We have been serving up our legendary barbecue for more than 39 years, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. Whether you're dining in, picking up in our drive-thru, or serving our famous barbecue at your office or home, with Forky's Party Pack, you are the hit of the party. Barbecue pulled pork, baked beans, coleslaw, barbecue sauce, and buns, starting at only $8.49 per person. And as you know, we send plenty of food. You never have to worry about running out of the store.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Welcome back in. We're going to head to Chicago in a second. Talk to our agent from Priority Sports, Andy Schiffman, on the NBA. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team, and they're a team too. They collaborate with you. They get to know you so they can best protect you. They want to know about your family. They want to know what's important. They want to know what your budget is. And then perfectly, they will find the protection for your home, your automobile, or your future with life insurance. But first, they got to get to know you, and they do that. Same thing with small to mid-sized businesses. They want to know your product, your employees, who you are, what you're all about, what's your business been like, how is it going to be down the road. They'll forecast it out, then they figure out your budget, and they find the perfect commercial insurance to protect that business. All you got to do is call 901-386-GER. Big Tiger supporters, that's why 4777, that spells out GERD. Get protected the collaborative way, 901-386-GER with the Eflin Insurance Team. We head to Chicago, where our agent Andy Schiffman stands by. The Lakers got their obvious second choice. It's J.J. Redick. Tony Kornheiser from ESPN and the Washington Post said, smart move. I say suspect at best. What do you say?
Morning, Dave. I would agree with you more than Tony Kornheiser here. I do like that JJ obviously is, as a former player who played for several teams around the league, he has great relationships. He will be able, in my opinion, to relate to players significantly better than Dan Hurley could have at that level. But you're investing in a individual that has never coached a high-level basketball game. And maybe that's not going to be an issue. But if you're the Lakers and you have a mentality here in a very short window left with LeBron James playing basketball, and obviously there has been a plethora of injuries to Anthony Davis over the years as well, and you got to target some youth in this draft for sure. There are a lot of egos to manage in that locker room. And again, this is not a rebuilding Lakers team like you see at the top of the draft with the Wizards or the Pistons or Charlotte, etc. They are trying to solidify a playoff spot and compete. And for one, as I mentioned, it's hard to do with so many older players. But two, now you're bringing in a coach that I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does exceptionally well and has a great X's and O's mind. I don't know. That hasn't been proven. He doesn't have that experience. So I think for me, that's the biggest question mark I have.
I keep saying I think in my mind there's got to be a reason for J.J. Redick. Yeah, he's a fine analyst. He's come a long way in a quick amount of time to be the one of the analysts of the two, and I don't know which is the lead.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's the lead over Doris. The lead analyst on the finals. That says something. Okay, I give him that. Steve Kerr did the same thing with collegiate basketball, being a great communicator. I get that part. But no coaching experience whatsoever. And Tony Kornheiser goes, well, all you got to do is get out of the way of the players, because half the time the players don't listen to the coach in the NBA. I mean, he really, to me, belittled that position of what a coach is in the NBA.
Right.
Like, it really doesn't matter. It's all about the star, and you got to be a friend of the star. And, let's face it, Riddick got considered for this job because he's got a relationship with LeBron. But LeBron's going to be 40. How good can LeBron really be for the next 4 years? That's what they signed J.J. Redick for. I mean, to me, this makes no sense. Why do you think the Lakers did this?
That I cannot answer. I am not inside the head of, obviously, the Buss family and Rob Pelinka. I think there is a small part of that as, hey, this is Los Angeles. Let's go out and make a splash by getting a familiar name, especially, obviously, having LeBron sign off. And again, if they go out and target one of these young up-and-coming assistants that you've seen Brooklyn do, Jordi Fernandez this offseason, some of these other teams go that route, what does that do for the franchise if it's not an exciting name, let's say? So I do think that plays into it with it being L.A. I think if this was Oklahoma City or Portland or Detroit, maybe it really wouldn't matter. I think that's part of it. But your guess is as good as mine as to necessarily why. I just think, again, LeBron is LeBron. You asked the question, how good can he really be for the next 3 or 4 years? Look, LeBron at age 43 is probably still better than many players are in their prime at age 28, 29, 30 in the league. Let's not take anything away from who he is as a player. But again, you have to go and find some young, upside, talented players in both free agency and the draft or the trade market. They have the assets to do that to an extent because they are a tax team. So they really have to be creative. But again, for me, it always comes back to, okay, you're hiring J.J. Redick, great. But he isn't a proven winner on a coaching level. He doesn't have that experience. And again, maybe it, at the end of the day, just doesn't matter. And here's what I'll say. It matters more in the playoffs. Just clock management, game management, knowing what to say to players, how to manage after timeout situations, crunch times, etc. I do think to that extent that's when it really comes into play. But we'll see. Look, it's exciting for JJ. If he succeeds there, then I think he will have a very long, sustainable NBA coaching career. But I don't know. I mean, I can definitely see this being a very short-lived
Me
tenure.
too. You really think LeBron will be playing at 43 4 years from now?
I would not put it past him. He's an alien. He could play until he's 60 for all we know.
We'll see. that is for sure.
He's not human.
Boston wins. It took a long time for them to finally get over the top, and they got it, their championship. Is this beginning of a nice dynastic run like we saw from Golden State, like we saw from the Bulls in the Michael Jordan era? Do we see that with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown?
Well, I think we could. As I sit here today on June 21st and the season just ended, there's nothing that tells me they can't repeat as champions next year. But there's also nothing that tells me Denver can't regain the crown, that Dallas, for as well as they played, can't be there again with a few tweaks to their roster next year. You talk about Minnesota, obviously. You talk about Oklahoma City. You can't discount a healthy New York Knicks team. You can't discount a healthy Milwaukee Bucks team, Indiana. For me, I think in today's NBA, there's so much more parity than there was when you saw the dynasties of Golden State, the LeBron dynasties in Cleveland or Lakers years ago. And so I really think it could go either way. That would not shock me at all to see a new champion next year. I think you can write in Boston at the very least as competing for the Eastern Conference Finals. And Philadelphia, I think they kind of get forgotten about, and it'll be very interesting to see this year because they have so many players on their roster who could be free agents. Joel Embiid, obviously, they have under contract, but they're going to have a lot of decisions to make, and they're going to have a lot of salary cap room. So this Philadelphia team could look completely different a month from now, Dave, completely different. And that will be very interesting to see how they build that roster to pair with Embiid. And if things go well in that roster construction, you could see a Eastern Conference Finals team competing with Boston. But again, same thing with Milwaukee, right? You can make the case if you have a healthy Dame Lillard, a healthy Giannis, with Indiana, a healthy Tyrese Halliburton. Any of these teams could be right there.
Well, they don't forget the Knicks, too, because they came out at the end, and they had missing pieces that will be back. So that'll be interesting. Along those lines, the ESPN Power Rankings came out. Jeff Zilgid, who is a columnist for USA Today, also sort of in the same mode of missing on the Grizzlies. Mm-hmm. Basically, Memphis was 19th in the ESPN Power Rankings. Worse yet, they were not in the top 10. They were 11th in the Western Conference, which means they would not make postseason play. With all those pieces, like Ja and Triple J and Bane, and don't forget Marcus Smart, I was a little surprised they didn't have them at least making the play in. And when they're mentioning things in the West or teams in the West, that first they go Dallas, Denver, Minnesota, Oak City, Phoenix, and then there's the Pelicans, there's the Clippers, there's the Lakers, there's the Kings. Nobody's mentioned Memphis. Are we, because it's local, blind to this and think that we have more pieces than they really do? Is their thing accurate, or is this just a total miss?
Well, I think it's a combination of all that, Dave. I think the biggest thing, if you're a Grizzlies fan, these writers, right, they are really basing a lot of these rankings off of what you saw this past year. The rise of the Pacers, the rise of the Orlando Magic, obviously what Minnesota did. And so they're all going to be top 10, top 15 teams in next season's power rankings. And you're banking on a healthy core for the Grizzlies. But again, we didn't see that this year. I do agree with you. I think if you do have a healthy core of Desmond Bane, of Marcus Smart, obviously Ja coming back, if they go out and they land a solid center in free agency to play alongside Triple J, again, I think in the draft will be very interesting. I know we'll maybe touch on that today to see what they do with the ninth pick. Do they try and move up and target a Donovan Clingan if he's not there? Do they just take the best available player, which could be potentially like Dalton Connect or even like a point guard, like a Jared McCain, a Devin Carter, who Anthony Carter is an assistant with the Grizzlies. They take him, Nikola Topic, young point guard from Serbia. There's all sorts of ways they could go to add depth to their roster, and you have to combine with what they're going to do in free agency, obviously. But if you have all these pieces and a healthy core, then I do think you have to pencil in the Grizzlies as a top 8 team in the West. I do agree with you because I don't think the Lakers will be there. I know they obviously were in the 8th spot this past season. I don't see them being there again next year. Sacramento, if they're fully healthy, they could. Golden State is always a tough one. But again, it's tough, right? Because you ran through all these teams. For as excited as you would be if you're a Grizzlies fan, right, and if you see all these players healthy, I don't buy that they could overcome OKC, Denver, Minnesota, even the Clippers, Dallas, Phoenix, if they figure things out and they're healthy. Maybe they compete with New Orleans for, right there, but there's a lot of really good teams.
I think the message by these experts, and they're experts, I mean, it's a consensus thing here, is the Grizzlies have only one good front court player that is of a real quality caliber, and that's Jaren Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson.
And they need to get a front court player that is a good, solid screen setter, rebounder, defender, a guy that they can play through, and they don't have that, and that seems to me to be rather evident in all of this. Real quick, because as always we've gone too long. Will there be trades? Do you think a guy like Zach Edey could end up in a Grizz uniform?
Well,
Your guy.
Representing Zach Edey and being a Grizzlies fan, I would love nothing more. I think there would have to be a trade. I think Zach goes somewhere as early as around their pick. I don't think they would take him at 9. I think if the Grizzlies find themselves in a trade where they move back 2, 3, 4, 5 spots on Wednesday night at the draft, then I think he's heavily in play. I don't see him going at 9, though, and I think he would be off the board by potentially 15, 16.
All the mocks that I see have Zach Edey and Filipowski, the two center guys besides Klingon, all somewhere between 20 and 30. None in the top 20 anymore. And in the latest one I saw, CBS, I think, Edey has gone ahead of Filipowski. They seem to go back and forth on those.
Yeah, I think we represent both. I think Edey could go ahead of Filipowski. I don't see Edey getting out of the top 20. Hopefully I'm accurate on that. Could be wrong, but just the feel is I think he's going to end up as a top 20 pick. And I think wherever he goes, I think he's going to be a very dominant NBA player in the future.
We'll analyze all of this next week. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
You too, Dave. Thanks a lot.
That's our guy in Chicago. That's Andy Sheffman from Priority Sports. He's brought to you by Miramichi. I told you, I was out there the other day. The SNEDS players were out there. They get junior competitions. They have so many great reasons that you want to experience Miramichi. For one, it's gorgeous. For two, it's in great condition. For three, all levels of competition that you want to play. In other words, there are 5, in fact, different tee boxes. You can play to the level that you're going to appreciate the most, or be competitive the most, or have the toughest time, whatever you want. And you'll never find better conditioned fairways at Miramichi than they are right now. The best practice facilities, range balls that are still live, and a great place to hit or practice. They have 2 separate areas, the best practice area of any municipal course. I promise you. Go check it out. It's 22 minutes from my driveway in East Memphis. It is 12 minutes north of downtown. It's a golf experience with a great view over 9 and 18, and they've opened up that deck on the weekends. You'll love everything about Miramichi. You'll love the way we end our program. Bryant Dacus comes your way in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
June. It's wedding season.
It is.
Or as I like to call it, Free Central Barbecue Month.
Who's what now?
Well, not that I don't enjoy weddings. I do, especially the ones that I can tell are going to be a disaster. But what I love about weddings is that so many people choose Central Barbecue to cater the food at the reception.
You root for marriages to fail?
Not exactly root. I just enjoy drama and free barbecue. I like to sit there and enjoy my plate of Central Barbecue with beans and slaw and wait for things to blow up.
At the reception?
Ideally. I mean, I won't be around to see it otherwise. Plus, free Central Barbecue.
Marty McNate at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown is turning back prices to give you the best deal in this decade.
Doc gave me orders to turn back time with the 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE. We got it for $249 a month, and it gets 42 miles per gallon highway. That's much better than my DeLorean, Randy.
You got that right, Marty McNate. And I hear at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, you got choices.
Take your pick from 2024 Tiguan S front-wheel drive or 2024 Teos SE for $279.28 a month.
Great Scott, McNate. That's Gossett Volkswagen Germantown on Winchester Road. Plus, get 0% for 60 months on Taos.
Your future's whatever you make of it, Randy, so get to Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at gossetvwg.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Yes, let's pilot our way through this Friday to the weekend. Always, we end our week with Brian Dacus. You hear him every day on Sportstime from 3 until 6. Good morning. I was a little surprised to read. Is it acrimonious? Is that the best way to put it? Joe Cooper, the walk-on.
Yeah.
Basically saying he was not wanted, no communication with the coach. He had several offers with scholarships. I believe he wanted a scholarship from Memphis and was basically sort of demanding a scholarship from Memphis, and Memphis was not interested in that regard. We'll have to wait to hear what Penny's side, if and when he ever does address this, but he certainly did not paint a pretty picture.
No, he didn't, and it was. You're right. It was interesting to see that come out yesterday, and you're right. I mean, I think when you read that story, I think one thing was very clear, that Joe Cooper wanted to be a Tiger, but he wanted to be a scholarship Tiger. And, last year, obviously, he starts playing towards the end of the season, and I think a lot of people rallied around him because, if you remember that the first game he got in was the, massive loss to SMU.
Yes.
And it was, this, hometown kid is coming in and he actually looks like he cares and wants to play hard, and, everybody rallied around that. It was a fun story. But I don't know if I ever really saw Joe Cooper as a scholarship, rotation piece for the Tigers going forward. But
well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Joe.
Sure,
I really did.
Yeah.
I love his stepfather.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Rodney Newsom. If Memphis was counting on Joe Cooper to be a rotation player, let's say a top 7 guy. If he is, then your aspirations to be an NCAA tournament team or a second weekend team would not be realistic.
No.
Joe he's got a great body.
Sure.
He's never played Division I college basketball. There's a reason. And it's not like he's a young kid who's got an upside. He is what he is, which is a guy who will play hard for you and probably on a mid-level team have a chance to be a rotation guy. But if you're aspiring to be a great team, I don't think this is a rotation player. And if he was demanding a scholarship, he said he wanted a scholarship, and he said he had several different offers. He probably should have taken those offers.
Yes.
I don't understand the need to go public.
Yes.
Because that was hurtful and certainly did not make for any kind of welcoming back to the Tiger home team.
No, not at all. And you're absolutely right. I think you explained it very well. I think there are probably Division I teams that Joe Cooper could go and be a rotation scholarship piece on. But I don't think it's at Memphis. And so my thing is I can understand, saying, hey, all I needed was Penny to text me back or tell me, hey, you're not a scholarship player for us. You should probably look somewhere else if you want to be a scholarship player. But at the same time, Dave, the NCAA puts a deadline for the transfer portal. Right. If you've got teams calling you, texting you, saying...
And you're not hearing back.
Right, and you're not hearing back from your coach, you've got to do what's best for you at the end of the day. And we know, we've seen it here. You can see it all over the place. If you enter the transfer portal, that does not completely shut the door at the place you're coming from. I think think Joe should have done what was best for him and entered the portal before the deadline just to save himself, because now he's going to have to get a waiver from the NCAA wherever he ends up going to be eligible for next year. And, I don't know how easy, how hard that will be. We kind of know that you never know what to expect with the NCAA. But I was surprised to see that story yesterday because I think, like you said, there were a lot of, I think, better ways and other ways that he could have handled the entire situation.
I'm looking forward to the story, I think, tomorrow. The young quarterback from Georgia, a kid named Antoine Hill. Is he a 4-star guy?
He is, yes.
A 4-star quarterback. Yeah. He has it down to Memphis and Florida?
Yeah. How about that?
Wow. Give me your gut feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Tigers are in a really, really strong spot for him. We talked about him a couple weeks ago when he was part of the big group of guys that were coming, I think 15 guys that were on campus on the 7th. And it was him, his teammate, who's a offensive lineman, who's also a 4-star. His running back was also there, who Memphis has offered a preferred walk-on spot to. And from everything I've heard, it sounds like it was a great weekend. He really enjoyed his time here. And obviously Memphis is selling, look, you can go to Florida and they have, great guys there. And, Florida's telling him, you're going to come in, you're going to sit a couple years, you're going to learn our system. Maybe when you're a redshirt sophomore, junior, we turn to you and you're our guy. Here at Memphis, our guy's done after this year. You can come in and immediately compete for the starting spot. We're going to be one of the top teams in the group of 5. We're going to be competing for a spot in the college football playoffs. And so, I think that's big for him. And I think Tigers are in a really good spot tomorrow.
So you're saying he'll put on a Memphis hat tomorrow?
Is
this the Dacus delivery?
If you're making me make a pick, Dave, if I have to look into my crystal ball, I'm gonna say yes. He's gonna be a Tiger tomorrow.
All right, well, give me your crystal ball on the athletic director.
Man. That one's much harder. I think there's some great candidates out there. You see a lot of names out there, and they're gonna move fast. And I think the initial story that came out from the Daily Memphian said they want to have somebody before or by the 4th of July.
I think that might have been the only accurate thing in that particular story, actually.
But yes, they want to move fast, and so I think there's good names out there. I think there's good names that they're interviewing, and so seeing as they're going to move fast, I think we're probably starting to get down to the last couple of guys, and I expect in the next week or so we'll have an answer, but certainly have to move fast. And I know we've kind of talked about it offhand and a little on air, a little off air, but now we have an opening. The softball coach has stepped away, and so
she got a chance to go to Florida. I'm going to say this: she was a really good pitching coach at Alabama.
Oh yeah,
and she won a total of 14 games. In like 87.
Sure,
something like that, and. Some people are just not meant to be head coaches or managers. And maybe that's where her comfort level is.
Sure.
She was really not comfortable interviewing. She was, nice person. I'm not, but she clearly wasn't getting the players. She did not develop the pitchers here like I thought she might. And I wish her the best.
Absolutely.
So now let's bring in somebody who can bring some players.
Yes. And so, you go out, you make a hire at AD, and now they got to turn around, got to hire a softball coach, and now you've got this, massive obviously with Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, all of the renovations that they'll have to get on and start kind of leading that campaign. So, it's I think a lot of reasons that they want to move fast. And so, I wouldn't be surprised here, like I said, in a week or so if we have an answer.
Maybe next week we'll have an answer on some of those 3 scholarships too. We'll get to that in a little bit. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Listen to Bryant. He comes your way from 3 until 6 right here. He's brought to you on this particular program by Grind City, a place he loves to go see concerts. I know they got a big one coming up here, I think, at the end of the month. Grind City is a place for everybody. You got the great beers. Let's face it. They're known for their product. They're known for Poppies, their Pilsner. They're known for the Pale Ale, the Godhopper. They got this amber lager called Thaddeus. If you like Blue Moon, they got a Belgian-style wheat ale that's every bit as good, and it's made right here called the Belga. They got the Tiger Tail. That's a really creative craft malt liquor with a little extra kick. Look, it's nothing like malt liquor your grandfather used to drink, I promise. You'll love this stuff, and you'll love the venue. Just north of downtown, you can see the city lights, you can see the bridges, picnic tables, and concerts. What more could you want? Beer and concerts downtown. It's called Grind City, taking care of beerness in Memphis. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio will set you off into the weekend coming your way in just a moment. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, one and all.